Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Judith Royer, CSJ. I am the director for the CSJ Center for Reconciliation and Justice. And it is a real joy for me today to bring to you and to introduce you to Ariane White, who is the inaugural director for the LMU TRHT Center Alliance. And I want to turn this over to Ariane to ask her, first of all, what do those letters TRHT mean? And what is this center that is new at LMU?
Thank you so much, Sister Judith, for this opportunity to share. So TRHT stands for Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation. And the TRHT Center Alliance at LMU has just joined, we're invited to join a national network of campus centers by this name that's hosted by the American Association of Colleges and Universities.
Great, that is very helpful. So we are we the same as that organization? Are we a branch of it? How does that work? And what are the goals, or what is it all about?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. So the way a campus can become part of this national network is by attending the TRHT Summer Institute and submitting a proposal for how we as a campus want to embody and enact the framework, the TRHT framework that is used by the national network. So every campus center is different because it's very, very based on context and very based on, history and land and location and population. So there's a really rich variety of campus centers in terms of how they take on the work, but it's all based in a particular framework, which I'm happy to share.
Well, what is that framework then, perhaps a little bit?
Sure. So let me go ahead and share my screen for just a moment. I'm going to pull up just this one slide. And this is a very complicated looking slide. I'm aware of that. So there's no need to digest all of it all at once. But what I like to call everyone's attention to is the kind of second bar in that framework where it says racial healing and relationship building. And that is really what I consider to be the heart of the framework. And so the work of all TRHT centers takes on this aspect of racial healing and relationship building. And then what happens is, as a result of building those relationships, then it becomes possible to make change in areas where there have been systemic inequities. So in areas like law and economics and any area of our society where there has been separation based on race and based on other identities. So the idea is we build our connections and we build our relationships with each other. And through that healing process, we then determine together what our next steps need to be. So that's kind of the framework in a nutshell.
So then I know that this is an inaugural year yet at this point, and you are just setting up the center in a way, but I know that you have already done quite a bit of work. Could you share a little bit of what has been done so far? And what are your dreams and hopes for the next months, whatever, years to come?
Sure. So I'll stop sharing my screen, but just keep in mind that racial healing and relationship building foundation. And so, to your question about what's happened so far, what's really lovely is, and a shared practice that comes to us from the national network is something called the RX Racial Healing Circle methodology. And every campus center might name it something different. So at LMU, we're calling them story circles. And so since I started in the role as the inaugural director back in mid-October, over 200 people at LMU, faculty, staff, and students, have had the opportunity to participate in this foundational practice, which we're calling a story circle, which is a real opportunity to deepen connections and to really put into practice the principles that underlie the TRHT framework.
and the principles beneath or under that underpin the story circle. I know that there are some that many of us who work with restorative justice are familiar with because they are very similar.
Yes.
Perhaps you could just give us a little bit sense of how that story circle works.
Yeah, so I feel like the story circle is one version of a restorative practice. So I think they are complementary traditions. They are very much aligned. And the RX racial healing circle methodology, or the story circle practice, is just one version of how we can come together to have a container where people can lean into a more vulnerable and authentic sharing and self-reflection, which allows people to know each other at a deeper level, and come to understand each other's lived experiences.
What is the relationship of the CSJ Center? Because the CSJs are interviewing you here to find out why we are in alliance with you. So what do you see that relationship, and what did you see that now and possibly down the line, if that might evolve in some way?
Absolutely.
So
Sure. So first of all, I am so grateful to the CSJ Center because you all have provided me a physical home for my work at LMU. I'm administratively part of the DEI team, but I think it's actually more appropriate for the TRHT Center Alliance to be located with one of its partners to signify that this is a campus-wide alliance. We are working to uplift and amplify and expand upon incredible work that's happening across campus in many different centers and departments and groups. And the CSJ Center is one of those incredible partners. And the space that is there, I feel, signals to something that is so essential in, I think, our shared vision for the future, which is creating spaces, like physical spaces, for people to come together and to heal and to engage in practices that will allow us to create a community that is actually operating off of a sense of deep belonging for everyone. So beyond DEI, beyond inclusion, where people might feel like they're being included into something that was already created, the idea here is that we're co-constructing a new culture, a new environment, a space that really respects and honors all of our members and all of our community partners.
So many spaces that layer on each other: physical space, social space, emotional,
Yes.
all of the above in a pyramid. What is this word? I noticed that the word alliance is not used on the national level. And how did we come up with alliance in our title?
Yes, so when the initial team of 12 LMU faculty, staff, administrators, community partners came together to submit our proposal, we realized that LMU does not need another standalone center to operate in isolation, but we do want to create alliances and to forge opportunities for collaboration where we can build upon the great work that is happening and do more and do better because we're working together.
Well, this is fabulous. That is the best synopsis the last few minutes that I've heard of this in a long time, having sat through that week of Institute. So thank you so much for giving us your time today. Is there anything else you wanted to add that I maybe didn't steer us towards?
I would just offer some anecdotal feedback that I've received from the story circles that we've experienced so far. I conducted a story circle virtually together with about 60 members of the staff senate. And at the end of that story circle, someone shared, the feedback that they shared was, I was in a room with someone who I had never connected with before, and I feel like I have a new friend. And so even in just like an hour or hour and 15 minutes that this practice, requires, these are lifelong friendships that are being formed. And these are connections that are strengthening our community across campus in ways that are serendipitous and we couldn't plan ahead of time and just happen with the wondrous happenstance of people coming together and sharing. And then the other thing I would share is just, I think because I'm in this new role, I was invited to be an advisor on one of the alternative break trips that the Center for Service and Action offers. And the trip was focused on anti-racism as a theme. And so we had the opportunity with a small group of students, seven students in total, to tour around and to connect with organizations in the Los Angeles area who are engaged in making Los Angeles a more just and equitable society. And so it was just incredible. I just have to say it was incredible to have that opportunity to connect with the students. And, you know, they became curious about TRHT, and I'm going to be following up with them to share more and to, you know, invite them to learn how to facilitate story circles and things like that.
Fabulous, fabulous. Well, what, 4 months in and you have already performed miracles.
Oh,
Really, thank you so much for sharing this, and thank you for agreeing to do this position and to get this off the ground.
of course.
I know many of us, and we've talked about that idea of siloing, that many of us are doing the same thing in our own little silos. And thank you for piloting something that hopefully will bring those energies together and have a much greater impact on the campus and the community around the campus or offsite. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your experience. And we wish you so much good energy coming up. And we look forward to continued partnership.
Thank you so much. I look forward to connecting more with the CSJ Center and the community.
Thank you.